Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Decoding Digital. My name is Leon Calverley. I am the founder here at Door 4, and I am the host for this morning's event. This is our February 2022 edition, and this is Winning with Content. Door 4 are a performance marketing and revenue optimization agency. We're based here in the northwest of England, working with national and international brands to grow and power their digital performance. Today's event, Winning with Content, is a focus on how quality content in the right place at the right time helps e-commerce and lead gen brands really power the growth. And we're lucky to have four superb speakers from three great brands here today to share their knowledge and expertise. We have Rob Hallam, Managing Director and the brains behind Bigtank Productions. Rob leads his creative content team around the world on shoots and production, animation through the camera, for brands including Mercedes-Benz and Polyfloor. Today, Rob is talking video, the magic bullet for e-commerce. We have Serena Bury and Bruce Wright from Pimberly. Bruce is a seasoned digital and technology professional, having worked at a senior level in a number of market-leading businesses around the world. And also Serena has worked in marketing, broadcast and tech for businesses around the world, from London to Vietnam. So I think Serena's on hand if anything goes wrong here on Decoding Digital. And last but definitely not least, we have Conrad Grimshaw, optimization consultant here at Door 4. And again, another very, very keen world traveler with experience pretty much on every content, having worked in optimization in Australia, New Zealand. And now we're lucky to have Conrad heading our conversion rate optimization here at Door 4. So a quick note on today's running order. We have four speakers in three presentations, short, concise, to the point, but insightful, about 20 minutes each. So we'll be on for around about an hour. After those three presentations, we'll go into a Q&A. So I invite anybody who's watching us here on Zoom today to use the Q&A feature. Actually in Zoom, we'll look to answer as many questions as we can. For those of you that are watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook and Twitter, drop any comments and questions that you've got in the various channels, and we'll look to scoop all these up and present them to our speakers. So those questions will be answered at the end. Fire them in. I'm going to start off by introducing our first speakers this morning, who are Serena Bury and Bruce Wright from Pimberly. I'm going to ask Serena and Bruce to come in video.
Thanks very much for that, Leon.
Morning, guys. Morning, Bruce. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much.
Hi, Serena. It's good to see you both. Thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks for giving up your time.
No problem at all.
So I'm going to hand straight over to you guys to introduce yourselves, Pimberly, and talk to our guest this morning. Over to you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, good morning, everybody. As you can see, we're from Pimberly, and we're going to discuss how to harness product data to drive your customer experience. But first of all, let's introduce ourselves a little bit more on top of what Leon has already done. So I'm Bruce Wright. I'm VP of Sales for Pimberly, and as you can see, joined today by my colleague Serena Bury, who is our partner marketing manager. We've both been with Pimberly for over 5 years, except for a 2-year sabbatical for Serena, I think as mentioned in the intro, to go teaching in Vietnam. But thankfully she's returned, and she's now doing a great job for us moving forward. So what is Pimberly? It is a leading product information management platform with an integrated digital asset management, DAM, totally SaaS and hosted on Amazon Web Services. Basically, to cut through all the acronyms, it's available, accessible in the cloud, anywhere around the world via a web browser and a login. Typically used by online retailers and B2B businesses to manage, cleanse, and prepare their product data and images for sales channels such as websites. Looking to improve their brand and ultimately to create a great user experience for their customers. It's often referred to as the single source of truth. So, having briefly explained what Pimberly is and how and why does a Pimberly fit into the e-commerce stack. So a PIM is key to businesses as it enables them to create consistent product data that drives the ultimate customer experience. Think about it. How many times have you heard about rubbish in, rubbish out? Is logical. Pimberly manages that. And whilst we're looking at what Pimberly can do, let's look at some of the key points at the bottom. So powerful and accurate SEO. So 35% of product searches start on Google, and 75% of people never go as far as the ominous second page. Essentially, this means that you could be losing up to 25% of your customers if you're not prioritizing your e-commerce SEO strategy. Because PIM gives you total control over the quality of your product data, you can increase your chances of converting browsers to buyers. You can also create structured data and multiple product categories, making your e-commerce store easy to navigate. And search engines love structured data, and so do customers. So this is definitely something that will put you in good stead. If you look at the perfect product page, your products are your pride and joy, right? So it makes sense to present them in the best possible light across all of your sales channels. Creating the perfect product page is an essential part of making your products resonate with your customers. But one size doesn't fit all. Incorrect product information accounts for 40% of returns, usually sizing issues being the main one. This is why you need to be sure you're clear on your sizing guidelines, as this will drastically reduce the number of returns you receive. And once you attract people to your website, you want them to experience great product data, images, and layout. This is often where online retailers can differentiate against the competition and achieve the goal of having sticky customers. Then if we move to the buying psychology, being able to adapt quickly to buying events such as Mother's Day, Valentine's, etc., is vital for businesses. If you can be the first to react to seasonal trends and lead the way on hot trends, this speaks highly in the buying psychology of customers. And when you add in the ability now to track individual consumer buying habits, being able to act quickly and accurately provides a competitive edge for retailers, which is really important in such a competitive retail world today. What's equally as important is letting them know why your product is better than the rest. Here, you should be thinking about the pain and pleasure points of your customers. What problems are you solving and how? What will they gain from buying your products? Will they see the results you're looking for? Create these visions to get your customers thinking that they must absolutely buy what you're selling pronto. Humans process images and video around 60,000 times faster than text. This is why product images and videos can massively improve the user experience and play a big part in converting. If we move on then to omnichannel touchpoints, often retailers are selling via different channels. So it could be the main website, it could be websites in different locales or languages, marketplaces such as Amazon, eBay, etc. Or they could be pushing out sales channels to partners or resellers. Having great product data fed by a single source of truth, Pimberly ensures that consistency and brand values are maintained irrespective of sales channels. Mastering unique tones of voice for each channel is vital. Managing different versions of copy for the same product can be hard to master. Having an effective PIM system to hold these side by side can make all of the difference in nailing this part. So let's have a look at some of the challenges that a business would face. And just to set the scene, just have a look at the quote on the right-hand side. 80% of consumers would stop doing business with a company because of poor customer experience. I mean, that is a pretty hard fact to be dealing with. And so how does a board react knowing that they could be potentially losing 80% of customer return business? It's a massive, massive thing to deal with. So typically what businesses will look for are the main KPIs, which we've got on the left-hand side there. So looking at conversion, AOV, which is average order value, return rate, cart abandonment, and customer support. We'll look at these in a bit more detail on the next slide. So how does we look at those KPIs and how implementing Pimberly will assist them achieve what they're looking for, a great shopping experience. So on the left-hand side, we have the KPIs as we saw in the previous slide, and then moving across, having implemented Pimberly, we then look at the benefits that they can gain. So on conversion, they will want to make sure that they convert as many visits to sales as possible. A great website with rich content and the latest product offering will be attractive to consumers, will make them want to buy instead of searching elsewhere. So speed to market is really, really competitive. Average order value. Once you have a buyer on the hook looking to purchase, you want to present them with a good, attractive options to add to their basket. Cross-sell and upsell, easily achieved. Return rate, this is a big issue for retailers currently and how they can reduce it. Good, accurate data that does not misinform, whether that be visually, via images or attribution, sizing, descriptions, etc. This helps to provide a true description of what the consumer is looking to buy, removing the room for error and ultimately return. This really, really helps address this major issue. Cart abandonment. People abandon carts if they find a better offer elsewhere. This is down to a lack of confidence in buying, overcome by great data, looking to ensure that they provide the confidence that they will be getting what they're looking for. This also builds customer loyalty. And finally, if you look at the customer support, if you have high customer support activity, this could be the sign of a bad website. A great website will reduce the load on the customer service and will allow them to become an added value to the customer experience. This ultimately results in better use of your internal resource and ultimately improved customer experience. So if you're still unsure about having a PIM, let's have a look at what could go wrong. So we've got, let's have a look at two very expensive examples for differing reasons. But first, I'll let you read the screen. So, as you can read there, two mistakes by two very well-known brands. And how did this affect them? So, if you take the top one with Harrods, obviously posted products on their website with incorrect pricing. Consumers then came on to buy those products. And at that point, Harrods realized that pricing was incorrect. So they had a decision to make. So they chose to honor the price that they'd actually published and lost revenue on the back of that. So ultimately, I guess they improved, they maintained their loyalty, but lost money in the meantime. But they also created uncertainty about the accuracy of data on their website. It was a big mistake. If you then look at the second one with Marc Jacobs, again, posting products on with the incorrect price or zero price. However, when they came to decision-making time, they decided to cancel the orders. So ultimately, loss of customer loyalty. They didn't lose money there, but at what expense? How many future orders did they lose because they ultimately made that decision? Clearly, major mistakes that caused both businesses issues in different ways. So how does PIM ensure this doesn't happen? Without getting technical, Pimberly can provide product life cycles driven by workflows that are configured to ensure that pricing can be validated before being released to a sales channel. This validation can be achieved automatically or via a manual check. Overnight, the issue is overcome. It's simple and easy for Pimberly. I'm sure both retailers could have paid for Pimberly for a number of years over just by ensuring this issue never happened. So let's take a look at the impact of implementing Pimberly to a couple of our customers and some of our other references. And for this, at this point, what I'll do is I'll hand you over to Serena. Serena.
Thanks, Bruce. Okay, so our first live case is Furniture Box. They are an online furniture business, very much dedicated to providing beautiful, quality and affordable products. So brand image is very important to them. When they came to us, they had kind of three main challenges in managing their product information to drive this customer experience. So let's look at the first one. The first one was they were already selling across 5 main channels, but they were managing all of this in spreadsheets. It was a very manual process, very much open to human error. Just as what we've seen before, the likelihood of kind of the wrong information being posted was a lot higher than they wanted. The second channel was, again, product uploads was manual. So what this meant is they could not stay on top of the consumer trends that they wanted to. They wanted to be first in line with their new ranges, but in fact, they weren't. They were falling behind other major furniture retailers. So how could they fix this? The third one was, again, inaccurate product information. This drastically affected their brand loyalty and their brand image, something that, again, they did not want to do. So they came to us. What was the solution in managing this product information? The first one, we have lots of automation around product cleansing and also product publishing, which meant that not only could they easily manage their 5 existing channels, but it meant that they could open up 2 more channels with scoped personalized information. This meant in March 2020 that they saw a 3 times year-on-year growth, which is obviously fantastic. Second solution, automatic configured product uploads through dedicated feeds and channels. Basically, all of their products can be uploaded with a quick flick of a switch, automatically, every day, every month, whenever they wanted to do it. All it was a simple feed setup and they're good to go. So what did this mean? This meant that they could reduce their product upload time from 2 weeks to 1 afternoon in 4 hours, which is obviously massive in terms of keeping on top of those consumer trends. Third challenge in terms of staying on top of increasing inaccurate product information, the single source of truth allows Furniture Box to manage all of that against one single source, which is a massive, massive benefit in terms of cleansing and controlling the product information that they're sharing. This meant that they could focus on delivering that great end-to-end experience that they pride themselves on. So that's Furniture Box. Our next use case is Ellis Brigham. I'm sure you've all kind of come across Ellis Brigham in the past. They are UK's premier retail and online shop for ski, mountaineering and outdoor clothing. So the 2 main challenges that Ellis Brigham faced is 1, disparate product images. They had product information across many different systems, spreadsheets. There was no single source of truth, which was time consuming to upload and make sure that, again, they are ahead of the competition. So with Pimberly's DAM, it meant, again, all of their product imagery, all of their assets, all of their descriptions were held solely against one single product, which, vital for them, it gave them time back to do the important stuff. No one wants to be faffing around with the data on the back end. They want to know that that's looked after and taken care of, which meant they had loads of time back to focus on front end work, which again contributes to the end customer experience. Their second challenge was 3 websites, but with 3 target audiences. So how do you hold all of that personal product information, and how do you manage pushing that out to those 3 different channels? So again, with Pimberly, managing to hold it all in the same central source of truth allows you to hold personalized, scoped information to easily post their 3 different channels. The benefit, again, was relevant tone of voice, which pleased the customers. They got the experience that they wanted to have on that site, and it was very targeted, which again drove their AOV and also their conversion, which is a fantastic kind of result for two of our main customers there. Moving on, I'm not going to cover all of these. I'll let you read them all yourselves, but just a couple to kind of to pull out, I guess, from these fab quotes. Current body, Bruce has mentioned we're Manchester based, we're kind of northern and proud. Current body and JD are also kind of Manchester or northern based. These guys found Pimberly to massively help with their customer experience through either time back or just massively improving their product data experience on their website. I'll let you kind of take these in separately, but I guess for us to kind of round off today, what we kind of really wanted to draw upon is actually, like, our customers love Pimberly, but also they love the fact that we look after every part of the sales aspect. We care a lot about our customers. We care a lot about our customers' customer experience, and basically this is why more retailers are looking at driving PIM. So I guess the final kind of closing statement that we want to leave you all with is we hope you understand or begin to see, if you're not already, how product data can be the driving force behind your business. And we look forward to kind of opening and receiving any questions a bit later on at the end of the session.
Thanks very much, Serena. And I'll echo that. We look forward to any questions you have at the end of the session. So thanks very much for that, Leon, and we'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you very much, Serena. Thanks for joining us there. And as a digital agency, I can certainly testify that product data and lack of consistency, lack of the single source of truth is probably one of the things that we've seen can cost businesses an awful lot of money if they don't handle it properly. So hopefully that's been really useful information for those e-commerce brands that are at maybe that earlier stage of their journey. So thanks very much again. I hope you can stick around with us for the Q&A after our next couple of speakers. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you. So with that, we're going to move now on to our second speaker of the morning. And I'm delighted to be welcomed by Rob Hallam, who is the Managing Director of Bigtank Productions. Rob, can I welcome you into Vision, please? Good morning, sir.
You can indeed. Good morning, Leon.
How are you feeling?
Fabulous. And thanks to Serena and Bruce for setting the bar extremely high. I'm nervous now. You know, that's you've got a lot to live up to. But thanks to you guys for giving us the opportunity to be on the panel this morning as well.
Cheers, Rob.
High caliber throughout the series. So.
Having been around you presenting before, then I think you've got nothing to worry about. So today you're going to be talking about video, the magic bullet for e-commerce. Is that right?
Yeah, with that cheeky little question mark at the end, which I'll come to.
Question mark.
So, yeah, keep them intrigued.
Super.
But yeah, that's what we're looking at.
I'll hand over to you, Rob. Over you. You can take the stage. Thank you very much.
Good man. Thank you, Leon. And again, thanks to all the team there for the opportunity. So yeah, I'm Rob Hallam. I'm the Managing Director of Bigtank in our 17th year. Time flies when you're having fun. 17th year of creating animated and filmed content for clients of all shapes and sizes. But essentially, our mission during that time has been helping clients cut through the fog of marketing, engage with audiences, cause positive actions or create positive actions, and in a lot of cases, sell more stuff. So today I'm focusing on video within e-commerce. And I mentioned to Leon there about the question mark, and there's a reason for that, because video is incredibly powerful, but I've got a few caveats to look at with you. So not got too many slides this morning, and hopefully there we go, I pop up in the corner. First of all, I want to look at some of the statistics around the use of video, and then the reality. I'm sounding like a cynic now, and if there's any other video producers watching, they're thinking, stop talking, where's he going with this? But it will all make sense. The opportunity that we've got, because it's absolutely massive, just listening to Serena and Bruce there about the way you can capture data and really grab hold of your audience. You know, if you can then engage with them and give them meaningful content, meaningful interactions, then the sky's the limit. And then this morning I've got a few success stories to look at. But talking about the statistics, so you do a Google search, why is video good for business? And the stats are always very, very impressive. I've got a few here. 87% of marketeers say video gives them a great return on investment, and these are all validated. We know that video is watched all over the world all the time. 80% of marketeers, videos increase sales, and 84% have been convinced to buy a product or service by watching a brand video. So you see those stats, you think, well, wow, it's great. Have video, they will come. So video really is a magic bullet. And the answer is, well, yes, and no. And the reason I sometimes take umbrage at the stats is it does just suggest that whether you're doing, video as a thing, whether it's on your phone, whether Hollywood are doing it, whether a production company are doing it, just pop video out there and it will work. And that's absolutely not the case, because we're a very increasingly, discerning audience. We're bombarded with so much content that we get very more sort of Skippy, and Bruce mentioned that word about getting your clients to be sticky with you. We're almost expecting to delete content, or it's sort of, popcorn, bubble gum that we just dispose of. So for video to work in the commercial world, which is the world that we work in, it's only going to be effective if it's relevant to your audience. We quite often get asked, can we create a viral video? And if we could do that on command, then I would be talking to you from a yacht. In fact, I probably would have just retired and I'd be on an island somewhere, because viral videos, generally happen by accident. They absolutely catch the moment something happened and they go viral. They're very rarely sales led or commercially driven. Your content's got to be engaging to your audience. So, you might be doing something about golf clubs and it's hit an audience who like golf. But if you've missed the mark and you've missed the tone, and you're not talking to them in the right way or giving them content that's relevant, well, it's not engaging. And then again, the most effective way for video to work is if it is teaching us something. If after we've seen the content, hopefully like these events that Leon and Door 4 put on, if by sitting through it, something at the end, then that has been effective. If it excites the viewer, if it gets the heart rate going, creates emotions, and of course buying actions, then that's exactly the way that it will work. Now, when we do these sort of live presentations, we do a show of hands and we say to people, what's the most important part of a timeline for a video? And this is irrespective whether it's a 20-second burst for social media or around a product, or a 3-4 minute film. Always a show of hands. People say the intro, especially on social media content, your intro's got to be bang, right in the face, big, bold. Absolutely true. And then someone else will say, but the middle part, the middle's got to be, good, because that's where you get your information in about the product. And then someone else will say, your call to action at the end, if they've got to the end, don't leave them hanging, give them somewhere to go. And they are all absolutely correct and valid points. But for us, the way we look at it, the most important part of a video's timeline or lifeline is when someone has stopped watching, because when that video is not with them, playing, are they then going to click through to buy a product? Are they then going to pick up the phone or think, wow, I'm going to download this white paper now. That person sounded like an expert. I want to know more. And that's all we're looking to do with video, is to create an action afterwards. And I think it's a bit like, I don't go to the cinema as much now, but you can go and see a film, and when you come out in the car park, your mind's blown, you get to work, you're telling people about it. And equally, we've been to see films, especially a lot in the 80s, because I'm of that age where it's, wow, you come out and you've forgotten about it, you can't remember the title. So what we're looking to do is make sure video creates actions. So the big key thing is, and when clients come to us, they say, well, how can we make sure that video works hard for us? And again, as a caveat, our clients, we've got clients from startups, one-man bands, right through to a couple of enormous. Our biggest clients are £500 million recruitment company who've been with us for a number of years. But even they don't necessarily have the marketing budgets that the likes of the content you might see on TV, like from Nike or Amazon, or Google or BMW cars, who can sometimes be a bit abstract with their video, but straight away we see the font, we see the logo, and it ties in with all the other content we've been drip fed from radio adverts, bus adverts, social media campaigns. They're pumping millions of pounds into this. So a lot of the time for our clients, even the big boys, they've got limited budgets, and they need to know that their content is going to work. So we need to be a bit bolder about it. And essentially the best way to do that is to be absolutely genuine. And if you've got a great product, then, again, we're all getting more and more cynical. I certainly have. I've got an 8-year-old daughter who is already getting used to, swiping when an advert comes on and we're watching YouTube. She'll say, "Skip ad, Daddy," because they're kind of ready for it not to be relevant to them. So be genuine. And absolutely harking back to when I started in telly, 22 years ago, was where you can tell a great story. An old adage, facts tell, stories sell. And I think it's still, I love facts around technology. We buy a lot of kit here, and I love printing off the spec sheet, but that's further down the line. That initial, I need to be sucked in to get to that point. It's through a great story. And when we say story in video, it's not necessarily like a Jane Austen or War and Peace or that kind of story, but something that, again, because we want that E word, engagement, something that will absolutely engage with your audience. So, for example, if you have a product that stops fell running shoes, the laces coming undone, instead of just putting content out there that says our product stops laces coming undone, wrap a story around it. The thing when you're out on the moors and it's freezing cold and you've got your gloves on and your laces come undone, what a pain. Well, our products. So your audience is relating to that. They have a story that they can relate to. And that's a really, really great hook and a way to get people engaged. And the other thing to do is know your audience as deeply as you can. And again, with some of the metrics that we've already, heard about, and I'm sure we'll hear later on today, to identify your clients. These are all really powerful tools to tie in to video, because the most effective video is when the audience feels like you're talking to them. Wow, how did they know that I was in this mindset, and create a video accordingly? And again, when you're on, I suppose, not just limited budgets, but limited time, we look at all the platforms that are available to us. Again, a lot of clients will come to us and say, wow, there is not enough time in the day to hit all of these. But, and especially the live ones, and there'll be a few more, I'm sure, that's been launched this week that will change our world. But they say there's not enough hours in the day. And the answer is you don't need to use all these platforms to be successful, with marketing, certainly with video. Because, again, as Bruce said earlier on, there is no one size fits all. So a recent poll by HubSpot was showing that YouTube is still the top of the marketeers list, but then LinkedIn has come right through, surpassing Facebook and Instagram. And again, powerful stats. But for us as a company and a lot of our clients, YouTube isn't the golden spot for it. It's targeted campaigns on LinkedIn. It is so powerful because we can create content designed to hit for heads of marketing agencies and marketeers in the companies we want to attract, and get video right in front of them. Yes, we may well upload it to YouTube as well. Another one of our clients who work in cosmetics industry, then TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, massive for them for their content. LinkedIn isn't really the right platform, and there's no problems with putting everything on everything if you've got the opportunity. Certainly. YouTube's second most used search engine, in the world. And when someone does a Google search and that thumbnail comes up for a video to click, it's wonderful. But we're limited on time, we're limited on budget, we need quick returns. So that's where we can eliminate a lot of the platforms and just go for the one that we know is likely to work for us. So I'm just going to move on. I've got 3 examples now of content that's worked extremely well. Different budgets, different approaches, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about, again, before we get the cameras out or we get the creatives on the content, it's that groundwork again that will really make sure your video is going to be effective. I'll just have a little slurp of my coffee. Thank you. Oh, cold. So we recently did a project with Argos, Geo Laptops and Xbox Live. And this was for a laptop and gaming package. Now, straight away, when we look at the price that this is going out at, 32999, this isn't aimed at high-end gamers. I've got some friends who spend thousands and thousands of pounds on gaming computers and setups. Equally, because this product is getting people with headsets on and getting in their own space, it's not for very young kids. So it's young, young people, young teenagers, and again at that sort of price point. So with all that, we do a promotional video to show this package, and the spec for it was just under a minute. Now, I would actually, the thumbnails underneath one of these, this is a screen grab, by the way, but as you scroll along is video. And I always say, get your video as your first one, because when we're shown posts, when things are shared on social media, it is a fact. When we see a video to click, we click it instantly. We're almost pre-conditioned now that when we see that play icon. But this one's tucked away a little bit, not disastrous by any stretch, because this campaign worked really well. But visibility, get it out there so people can see it. But then there's specs, there's more information, but a video is a very, very fast sell. I'm just going to play it now. I won't. I'll just let the music start, and then I'll talk over it. So essentially the treatment with this, it's fairly basic. We've got stills of the product, we've got footage from Microsoft of the games, and again, the games are relevant to the audience because there are some very young I don't want to say childish, but for a younger audience. And there's some quite, horrific gameplay. I'm sure any of us with older kids will know about that. But so that's relevant. We're not, the fact sheet for this laptop is this long. We just want those key ones that will talk to the heart and not necessarily the head, because we want to see, yeah, it's HD, it's a nice looking display, we've got a light up keyboard, and it's got that Xbox Game Pass. And that worked really well. And it's the sort of the stats and the follow through show that the click to add to basket that comes immediately after watching that is very high. But even so, as I said earlier about it resonating with people, even if they're like, okay, wow, great video, and then look at other products, if that's resonated with them, they'll come back to it thinking, actually, nothing sort of looked quite as exciting as that. And that's what we're doing. We're getting that heart rate going. This isn't an instructional video, a 10-minute thing, how to log on, and that's not what that's designed for. To another quick example here. So this is for cosmetics. Biggest market for these is in the US, particularly in Target chain stores. Although actually the product is made in Morecambe, they're at Design Plus. Lovely people to work with, but they sell their products globally, and the US is a massive market. So here we can see the third thumbnail down is a play icon, and that's great. I like to see that. It's only a low value product, but the play icon there, we want to show people how to use the product. We want to show it in a cool way. And this was the treatment that we produced for this. So again, super simple treatment. They're very pretty ladies that came in to model, but they're normal. They're not supermodels, anything like that, not being disrespectful. So it's relevant to the audience, who are real people buying these products. There's no voiceover on this, and that's so that we can easily reversion it into Spanish and potentially other European languages as they come online. And work really well, and it's done in a style that's relevant to the audience. These videos are used on TikTok, on Instagram. They absolutely pop them out there, and it gets people talking and sharing them. Simple approach, but work really well. And the last example is probably one of the most simple approaches that you can have, but that will work, be super effective. And that's if you have experts in your business who can talk fondly, passionately about products, then that's a great way to get them on screen. So here we have Parker and Landon. very, very American, but very, very successful. Now they're actually filmmakers, but essentially they review equipment. So the covering shots that they use are quite lavish because it's part of their job. But essentially, this is two guys doing kit reviews. It's relevant to us because we buy a lot of Sony gear, but we'd like to know how it steps up against a couple of Canon models. And they do fantastically well. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. I'll just play a little intro.
What's up guys, Landon here from Full-Time Filmmaker with my assistant Parker, and in this video we're going to be comparing the newly announced Sony a7S III to...
So again, whilst the covering footage is very nicely shot because that's what they do for a living, it is essentially two guys who know their subject matter inside out and we're learning from it. After watching this, we know, or have a better idea, which cameras are most likely going to be suitable for the work that we do.
I shot with them in all natural light for a fashion shoot, and I took them with me indoors to a fitness shoot.
They're building trust with us that we know they know what they're talking about because they do it for a living, and essentially a very relaxed approach.
As our main go-to camera.
Now we're going to be focusing on comparing most.
And they have some of the greatest teeth that I've ever seen on video. So every time I watch these, I think I must get down to the dentist for my Hollywood smile. But yeah, really effective. Hundreds and thousands of views. They make money through links through to selling other equipment. They get sponsored. Really successful. So to kind of wrap up, if you're thinking of getting involved in in video, or I think or any content in general, be genuine. Talk from the heart where you can if you're wanting to engage with an audience. In this day and age, I say even my 8-year-old daughter can smell a rat if someone's blagging it. So with your messaging, if your product's going to change the world, then focus on those, but do it in a way that's absolutely relevant to your audience. Imagine your audience watching this, and it's never about saying what you think necessarily the MD of the company might want to say. And I say that as the MD of my company, that I know often what I want to say is perhaps not in the way it's picked up on social media or when people are watching it, what they might want to hear at that moment. So always think in terms of your audience, and absolutely tell a story. If viewers can see how your product fits into their world and will make their lives better, it's massive. And finally, get your content seen. If you're putting stuff out there, don't tuck it away. Don't make it hard for your audience to see it. Make it easier for them to access it and have fun creating it. But when you get it right, is video a magic bullet? I still say yes, it absolutely can be, providing you do your production properly. And that's kind of it from me. Leon, are you waiting in the wings?
I'm waiting in the wings here, Rob. Thank you very much for that. And I've made sure that my brew is nice and hot. There'll be a steaming cappuccino on its way to you very, very shortly, I promise.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. That was fantastic, Rob. Look great, and superb tips there for pretty much any brand and any individual looking to use video to really maximize the business, e-commerce or otherwise. So I hope you're going to stick around for some Q&A in about 20 minutes, Rob. Thank you very much. I will see you shortly. And with that, I'm going to introduce our third and final speaker of the day, Conrad Grimshaw, Dofo's very own optimization consultant, zooming in here on video. Good morning to you, Conrad.
Morning, Leon. How are you doing?
I'm good. Did you make sure your brew was nice and hot before we get started?
I've already drank it during the good presentations, and now I've got some waters lined up in case I sound a bit like Kermit the Frog throughout the presentation. We'll see how it goes.
Fantastic. I'm going to hand straight over to you. I think your presentation this morning is the human brain, understanding your audience, persuading your audience, even. Yeah.
I've changed it within the last half an hour to persuading your audience. I go into a few things that Rob was touching on in terms of persuading your audience with, the things he was mentioning. So I'll just dive into it, shall I?
Superb. Over to you, Conrad. Thank you very much.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to talk to you about the human brain. Just going to move myself out of the way. So it sounds like a bit of a wishy-washy subject, but there's lots of research done to the human brain, and the concepts are really useful to understand, how users navigate and progress through your website. So we make around 35,000 decisions every day, from the mundane, such as, what do you have for breakfast, or more complex decisions, such as, a high-value purchase, such as buying a house, or buying a car. So all of this goes on in the privacy of our brains, except it's not so private or unique. It's you know, as humans, we're like pre-programmed to behave in certain ways in particular situations. The ancient Greek philosophers, Plato and Aristotle, sort of pioneered this. We're still using some of those theories that they came up with, you know, 2,000 years later. But it's now, I'd say now in the last sort of 100 years, we're really, you know, starting to understand human behavior to a point where marketers can be like using, probably should be, you know, can be and should be using these learnings to help users progress through your site and persuade users to convert into a paying customer. So fast and slow. The idea of thinking fast and slow is a concept from Daniel Kahneman. He's a Nobel Prize winning psychologist. Basically, humans have two different modes of thinking, not two different like parts of the brain. We're talking about ways of processing information. So there's system 1 and there's system 2. And these are like polar opposites, but they're in control of everything you do, every decision you make. So from your, you know, from your relationships with people to understanding, you know, shopping behavior online. So system 1, as I mentioned before, this is your fast brain mode. It's also known as the new brain. So you would describe this as intuitive. You feel comfortable using it. It works in your subconscious, and it can be very automatic, emotional. For an example, without, you know, without having control over it, you instantly know the answer to the question on the slide. 1 + 1, it's jumped to your head. You already know it. The answer is 2 if you didn't know it. And we have system 2. This is your slow mode. They call it the old brain. To describe what this would be, it would be like analytical decisions, logical. It takes a lot of effort to use, and we use it much less than our system 1 brain, because it's not automatic. It doesn't feel natural to use, causes a bit of anxiety. So as an example of, you know, slow thinking, you might not know the answer to that question on the board there. It's 13.5 times 47.2, and neither did I, so I used a calculator. The answer is 637.2 if you didn't know. But either way, it doesn't matter what the answer is. You've activated your slow brain trying to figure it out. If some of you got it, well done. But unlike the system 1 example, it didn't jump to your head. You had to go into deep analytical processing to even start working it out. So you get it, right? It's system 1, you feel at ease, comfortable. We don't have to put conscious effort into it. In system 2, you feel strained, a bit anxious. It's almost painful. And, you know, humans are programmed to avoid pain. So when it comes to websites, we want to create, you know, as much as a system 1 experience as possible. If the conditions are right, our brain is, you know, it's more than happy to make snap judgments and progress through your site. So we want to make fast, effortless, emotional decisions, you know, relieving them of any type of friction, but would, you know, make people question what they're doing, and well, not like that. But yeah, and activating their system 2. That's what we want to avoid. You know, if they activate the system 2, they're potentially preventing them from, you know, completing their action, or which is purchase or sign up or whatever you're trying to get them to do. So it's the responsibility of your aesthetic, it's your content, the structure of your website and components, and the functionality of your website to really create the right conditions for your customer to make the decisions they need to make. So in this example, you know, the one on the left is, it's uniform, it's conventional. You know, people understand the content structure. It's, you know, how to use it. It can, you know, you can effortlessly navigate it through that website. One on the right is maybe more of an unconventional website. It's, you know, if you don't know how to use it, you start to activate that slow brain trying to understand it. It causes a bit of discomfort, and you might struggle to progress through the site due to being frustrated. Just going to touch a little bit on brain chemistry. This is sort of where it becomes relevant. So human behavior is strongly influenced by brain chemicals such as dopamine and cortisol. So dopamine is your reward mechanism. It's released when you're like being exposed to being rewarded. It's the joy you get when you find things that, you know, meet your needs. So this is what we're looking for in system 1. And then you have cortisol. It's also known as, you know, the stress hormone. It's very stressful. This is what you produce when, you know, that feeling of fear, stress, anxiety. And that's when you start activating that cortisol in your brain. basically you want to avoid triggering cortisol with your customers. So, things that, increase cortisol levels on the website, is too much pressure. So you promise something that you can't deliver. This could be, could be a big thing or a small thing, such as like a CTA navigating a user to an unexpected location at the wrong time. Lack of clarity. So having an offer that people can't understand, or too many options, something like that. And then you've got disempowerment. So this is where users don't feel in control of the situation. And then you've got multitasking. So, trying to get users to do many things at once, too many CTAs, too many product options. And the list goes on. So what I wanted to do was to use persuasion techniques to provide shortcuts to help you stay in system one. So I'm going to take you through a few persuasion techniques. Probably the first 6 or 7 from Cialdini's Principles of Persuasion. But I'm going to go off piece a little bit and present a few more and then wrap it up. So I always struggle with this word, so I'm going to give it a go. Reciprocity. There we go. I was probably right. This is basically where you give something for free and you get something in return. So for example, receiving a document in exchange for your contact details, pop-up banners, which offer you a discount in return for an email address. So in this example here, you complete a quiz about your business and then you get the results, but you have to give your contact details to get those results. You see, you've already committed to it. So persuading you to give information in return for something you're after. We have commitment. So once you've committed to something, you're more likely to go through and deliver on that commitment. So sometimes starting the process is the hardest part. It sometimes helps to present a small bit of information, give them a small commitment before presenting them with a large commitment. So in this example, you've got you have to enter your registration. It's quite a simple thing to do. Well, if you know your registration, you just type it in. But in reality, behind that, there's 4 more panels of questions to go through. But as you've already committed to that step, you're more likely to go through and enter the rest of the information. We have social proof. You're probably familiar with this one. I think we've talked about it in the last 2 talks. It's about getting validation from others. Humans are, social by nature and feel it's important to conform to social norms. We'll look to other people to validate our decisions. A bit of that. So this is where we, use customer testimonials and reviews to really encourage people to trust your site, trust your product, and so on. Cool. Then we have authority. I wish I didn't use this example, Mr. Amon. So using public figures, to make a case for you and back up your claims. So that, can be things like titles, like doctors, people in uniform, like army, or those guys in the high vis. They give people authority. So on websites, you get celebrity endorsements, like Jamie Oliver promoting, and this works on video as well, promoting cooking equipment and Hot Point dishwashers. And you've got testimonials and such as, Eamon Holmes here, he's promoting equity release. But, if I was cool, I'd probably go with some modern influencer, but I'm obviously not cool enough. Then we have liking. So this one seems a bit obvious, but, do you resonate with your audience? Do they like you? So you're more likely to succeed if you're liked rather than disliked. So websites get this message across with their brand. The About Us page is like the perfect place to look and place to start, but it should spread across through your website. So display company values. There's ones where you have a really interesting staff profiles where you can really understand the people behind the company, really useful to making people convert on your site and really help people resonate with your audience, and carry it through your site as well. Then we have scarcity. So this is when you believe something is in short supply, but you want it more. So this is, can be done using sort of quantity or time. So like hotel booking sites are really, really good at doing this. They give you a discount based on a limited supply. Like I know they've got more rooms, but then they say they've got more rooms at a different price. So it makes you think, oh, I've got to book it right now. Booking.com's really nailed that one. And then there's Amazon as well. They also do this well with their deals and limited time frame deals. So it ends in 4 days at that price, and then it'll go back to the original. But reality is there's probably going to be more sales, but it's just, it's scaring people into the idea that they may not get the great deal on offer. And then we have unity. So are you part of the group? So by using the same language and imagery as your audience, it creates a sense of unity. So it's that, one of us mentality, you're part of the crew. Outdoor brands do this really well. So, here they're using words like casual, they're using, activism up there, and that they've got a sustainability message, really relates to their audience to use casual multiple times. This there was actually accompanied by a photo of a very casual man walking outside and, with his dog, very happy, smiling. So you can see the sort of target audience they were trying to get, and the casual approach to that, and it really worked. I could have bought something. I'm very casual. Then we got focusing. So we only have the ability to pay attention to a few things. So by providing too many options, customers aren't able to decipher your offer or what your USPs are. So on your website, you want to focus on your best USPs. Free is probably the magic number, as you can see here. Some of those USPs should be ones that make you unique or different to your competition. But the idea is don't focus on too many. Then we have context. I hate this guy. We tend to forget about things when they're out of context. The amount of ads you click through and pages which aren't relevant to the advert happens quite a lot. So you want to create a consistent brand and use cues from previous visits, previous adverts to really help them remember. Obviously, this little meerkat is hard to forget, but you'll know, and what they do is throughout the adverts, everything, they use all the same imagery. You can see the little robot there on the advert at the top, and on the main website, main landing page. It's all there and really drives home that brand awareness and and giving you context. Then we have self-generation. It's also known as the IKEA effect, hence why I've used an IKEA example. So the more we put in something, the more we like it, essentially. So we tend to, like ideas better when they've been generated by our own minds. So this is where, customization tools really come into their own. You spend minimal energy creating something for yourself, but you'll be more persuaded to go ahead and purchase that. So something like creating your own kitchen, you've committed to it, or designing your own shoes. I designed those bad boys on a company time, Leon. And facial distraction and the sort of directional cues, I've merged these into one, but basically humans notice faces, and we can't resist looking at faces. We use faces to attract attention to adverts or content. We use faces to attract, people to key information, such as the value proposition there, or the CTAs. So in this example, you subconsciously notice the face, and then you notice where the gaze is going towards the content and information. Cool. I'm going to cut myself off now. There's loads more persuasion techniques. There's a whole wiki page of persuasion techniques, well-researched stuff that works. So once you understand them, it's worth baking into your website. Analyze where you currently are and see how persuasive you are and where you can be. So cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Conrad. Sorry, I'm just organising some new trainers there. Thanks. Cheers for that. Brilliant. Thank you, Conrad. Superb presentation there. I think that was all absolutely nailed on to the value that you're delivering for our clients day in, day out as well. Yep. When you're not designing new Nike IDs, of course. Thank you to all of our speakers. I'm going to invite all of our speakers back in. I'm going to invite Serena and Rob to come back into video now, and we're going to run through some Q&A. We've got a handful of questions from our audience this morning. So thanks for everybody for sticking around and being part of it. And while Rob's in, Rob, the first question I think is for you. And talking about e-commerce, that being one of our topics, one of our questions is, how can we use video effectively to boost our product sales? Can we sum up?
Yeah, you can. Next question. I think if you can be, budget is always the elephant in the room. You'll have it, Leon, when you're chatting to clients and they're liking what you're saying and you're liking what they're saying, but no one's mentioned money yet. Essentially, if you've got something that you can throw at it and think what we can create will be on brand, and when people see that, because even if it's a 10-second video, it has got to represent everything you stand for. And that's why we never, bash people who like filming stuff on these. They have a time and a place. But if you're selling a premium product or a premium experience, but your budget only allows you to do it yourself on your iPad, perhaps don't do it. But those discussions perhaps come further down the line. If you've got a fantastic product and you think, oh, people need to know about this will absolutely change change their world. If they experience this, then they're going to become customers. Then use video. If it's done in the right way, and when I say in the right way, I don't mean by giving, well, unless you've given us a big bag of money, it won't work. If it's done and it engages and it's relevant and it creates positive actions, then OMG, it absolutely works. Especially it's a good time to be in the businesses that we're in, I'll be honest.
Speak to the video guy, yeah?
Yeah. We like talking. We're from the north, and in Lancashire by 30 feet. We've just scraped in, so in Ramsbottom.
Cheers, Rob. Serena, one question that one of our guests has asked is, what are the key internal challenges that businesses face when implementing PIM?
Yeah, a few is probably the answer. PIM is obviously a tech that kind of sits in the middle of a few teams and a few places. So there lots of teams are involved in the process of implementation of a PIM. So you've got the data team, if there is a data team, you've got the e-commerce team, the marketing team. So I guess it's getting a solution that actually pleases everyone. I mean, the bigger the company, the harder that gets, but there's definitely kind of a solution for all. And also, I guess from a more technical side, if you're implementing a PIM and you're a company who has been long existed, so you've got loads of products already, they're potentially over a few systems, and they're potentially in a few different kind of categories, or your product data is displayed in different ways, then there is a kind of project around getting your data in a good enough way to fit into that system. But that it can sound quite terrifying, but also it doesn't need to be. Projects like that, Pimberly, for example, would work with you to get to your data in that way. So there are definite kind of few processes and things that need to weigh up, but ultimately it just comes down to need and whether that can be paid off quickly.
Oh, challenges that can be faced with collaboration, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And no one's left alone on projects like this.
Thanks, Serena. And Conrad, somebody's asked us, how should I be reviewing my conversion optimization performance? How do we kind of keep track on whether this work that we're doing is paying off?
So I think the best thing to do would be, to really break down where you are currently, assess, your key high traffic pages across your website, visually go through them, score your content, score your design, score your component structure, and just look at how persuasive you're being. Really try and tackle the lowest scoring areas and use A/B testing to do things faster. Basically, you're able to test and get really fast results and test in small areas, and just really try and work on your audience.
Superb. Thank you for that. And I think that really brings us to the end of our Decoding Digital event today. I'd like to cast a huge thank you to our speakers, Serena, Bruce, Conrad and Rob, this morning for giving up the time to come and be part of Winning with Content. We're looking forward to the next event, the details of which will be announced soon. And we're delighted that we've got a Decoding Digital Live coming out in the northwest of England in the next few weeks. More details to follow. In the meantime, if anybody's got any suggestions for speakers, whether that's you or somebody else that you'd like to hear from or content, we'd love to hear it. I'm Leon Calverley. This has been Decoding Digital from Door 4, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.